Hi, I'm Roland and welcome back to Practical Plastic. Today we're going to be doing an open kit review of this Moebius tow truck. Haha, 4x4. Now, I had been waiting for this kit. I know quite a few people have already done builds on this, but I missed the stock notice from where I was waiting to get the kit. So I finally have one in my hands and very excited to open this up and take a look at it. So, as usual, got my tea. And as always, thank you for watching, subscribing. Please do hit that alert and like, share, everything else, all the good YouTube stuff. So, after doing the Roker Scout Beetle sitting on my shelf over there, going to get back to a more routine thing to look at. Not that this is routine, this is really cool, but you know what I mean. 4 wheels instead of wings and legs. Alright, so going to turn that camera around and we will take a look and tear into this box. Alrighty. Okay, so now we have the box in front of us and we can dig in. But before we do, just as a tease, to show you this just looks to be such a neat machine. I have not seen too many vehicles like this in 1/24th scale, which really I should say I've only seen 2. This one, which is brand new from Moebius, and apparently Revell has a old kit, and I believe they are going to reissue. I don't quote me on that, but their kit is only 60 odd pieces. It just has a engine sort of insert plate instead of an actual engine in there. It's sort of like a blend of a curbside and a minimally detailed engine bay. And the kit is, I think, only 60 something parts. There's way more than that in this, as you can tell from the depth of the box. And just to illustrate that point, here is a Moebius F100 service bed pickup. Moebius kits are stacked with parts, and we can see here this is like a third, again, the depth of the box. So there is a lot in here. And just to give you an idea what a lot of plastic looks like, let's dump this guy over and do the emergency express unpack. And there we go. That is a lot of stuff. So if you'll give me a few minutes, I am going to unbag all these parts and we'll have a look at all this tow truck goodness. Yay! So everything's spread out, and as you can see, yes indeed, there is a lot in this kit. So first things first, let's take a look at the instructions. Now, I did build, I have a couple of Moebius kits floating around in my stash here. I did build the Golden Commandos altered wheelbase Plymouth. This was a really great kit, also from Moebius. So a lot of what I'm seeing here is reminiscent of what I experienced with that. So I only say that in terms, it's nice to see consistency when you get kits from a manufacturer. I have, you saw the other Moebius Ford pickup truck, and I have one other one yet to be built in my stash. And I can tell you the inside of those kits, even though I haven't unbagged anything, again, so immediate impression looking at the molds are nice and clean. Things are not warped. There's no flash. Well, there's always a little flash, but everything looks good, so the parts look good. And before we start digging into all those sprues, one thing that I did notice is a little bit different on the other Moebius kits I have. The instructions are a booklet. For some reason on this, they went with a fold-out style. And not to nitpick, but I have to tell you, I would much rather prefer a booklet style, because this folding and unfolding to look at your steps, I'd really prefer not to do that. But in any event, here it is. And the good news, even though I am nitpicking and probably being a little annoying on a preference of the print format, the instructions are typical Moebius, very clear. The layout, we have text descriptions, all the parts are called out, so that is all good. And it's typical car assembly: chassis, engine, cab, and getting that together. We also have, which I really love about Moebius, full color pictures of a completed model, so you can really get an idea of how a paint scheme would look. And then you may have noticed there was nothing in there about the tow truck assembly, because you get a second instruction sheet which picks up where the first one left off with the 1972 Ford truck paint colors. So look at all of that. I don't think there's any modern car manufacturer that offers so many colors, and this was just for a pickup truck. Cars were very different back in the older days, let's say. I don't want to say old days because I was already 4 years old in 1972. But in any event, the instructions, let me flip this over, pick up where the first sheet leaves off. So the first sheet is chassis, engine, cab, and wrecker body will follow in here with the wrecker tower, the boom. They show you how to do rigging, which they do give you chain and whatnot, so we'll see that when we go through the parts. And then finishing it up, mounting to the frame, and then mounting the cab, and your assembly is complete, and you are the proud new owner of a completed, very cool model. So that said, let's take a look at the parts. Now, I did divvy up the many sprues to make this a little more organized. So I'm just going to start over here. First off with the tires. And even though they are not branded, got a really nice tread pattern on there. Basically, I'm not seeing any center seam line, which is really nice, although definitely need to, rough that up with sandpaper a little bit. It's tow truck. Should look at least a little used. And you get 6 of these tires because it is a dually rear axle. So tires are nice. Here I had mentioned that there is chain, and here we also have the string for rigging up the wrecker boom. So that's cool. We have a small sheet of decals, but they are nice decals. We get the white stripes for the wrecker bumper. We got Larry's towing or quality service center. Got your choice of things, but what I do like, we have instrument gauge, we have license plates, and we have some engine detail pieces. So not a ton in there. Of course, you can supplement that from aftermarket decals or from your spare parts box, but a nice little decal sheet. We have our cab, and I think Moebius has probably used this cab in God knows how many variants of Ford pickup trucks. But if you look at this, all the surface detail, nice and crisp. We have a nice door seam, drip rail, which is important because if you want to do a two-tone, the roof a different color, you can mask right along that drip rail. So that's great. Underside, not much to see because everything will be going in there. Open engine bay, firewall has to be mounted. Nice big locators for front grille. but most importantly, looking at it, it's not warped. So that is very cool. Now, we'll dig into some of the more structural elements. So, we have our hood, floor pan, back of the cab, and we have a nice mold detail on the floor of that cab, the stamping for the reinforcement. We even have on the hood, yes, there are all injector pin remnants there. If you want, you can obviously go in there and clean those up, but they are on the underside. This is going to be under the seats, so you're not even going to see that. So there we go. That is looking good. We have separate door cards. Yes, it is a build-up interior. It is not a tub. I love having separate door cards for this reason right here. Look at all that mold detail in there. Nice and prominent. Everything is deep. The armrest, all the texture material on the door, the window crank, all beautiful. Seat, ribbed. So paint and a wash if you don't, unless you want to do it in black, but make that seat look great. Now we have, Moebius likes to do a lot of little sprues, and that we certainly get here. So we have top of our engine, belt, fan, right there. We have the halves of our engine block, our assorted engine detail pieces, oil pan, nice prominent locator for the chassis, headers, distributor, all that good stuff. And what I'm curious to see, Moebius usually gives you tons of extra parts. See how we do with that on here. Steering wheel, front of the engine, air cleaner. This is geared, well, the kit is a tow truck, so you're not going to get something fancy, but wheel backs, everything so far nicely detailed. This is your pedal mount that will go under the dashboard. And we have our pedals, brake cylinder, we have some shock absorbers. I love that they give you the separate visors, so separate piece can mount it up into the cab. Battery, our wheel inserts. We have a somewhat empty sprue, but we have our steering column. Those levers on the steering column, a little fragile, watch for that, but really nice dashboard, all that mold relief in there. They have the mold relief for the gauges, even though they also give you the decal, so you could do it both ways. It's assembled. You're gonna have the cover of the dash. Oh, it is molded on there. You're not going to see a whole much of that anyway, so if you want to hold on to the decal, you could just do a little detail painting in there and take care of that. And then we have okay, here's an extra inside of a gate, but there is no gate because there's no pickup bed, so that's pretty cool. We have our front bracket for the hood and the radiator firewall. So moving into our next stack of parts, we have that awesome front wrecker bumper. That looks really great. Exhaust system, another steering wheel, tow hooks, I'm assuming. We have those big beefy leaf springs for the rear. Looks like we have some assemblies for some parts for the wrecker body, drive chain for the winch and whatnot. And we have some more engine parts. We got our second intake, second style of air cleaner, third style of air cleaner. So we have, I'm assuming these will be coolant lines for the engine. More detailed parts for the engine. And now we're getting into some of the more mechanical parts. We got another oil pan, beautiful transmission, transfer case, some more linkages, front arms, lower member for the front suspension, steering box, tie rod, another air cleaner, some more shocks, shift levers, and now we get some more leaf springs. I assume those are for the front. More drive shafts, our axles and their differentials, and we get a one-piece frame. And looking at that, you can see no warp. That is nice and straight and true. So this should be a very straightforward assembly. A lot of parts, but a nice straightforward assembly, getting that all together. So last but not, well, it's not the last, but getting towards the last, we are now into the parts for the wrecker body. So we have the support belts, more tie downs, building up the frame for the straps. That's looking good. And yeah, we basically have 4 sprues of parts just for building up and detailing the wrecker part of the assembly. So they did not skimp. I mean, look at all these tow hooks, tie downs, more hooks, hooks galore to get you hooked on building. We have the sides with a nice little service door molded in there. And then the base plate with a really nice diamond plate texture on there. The rear of the wrecker body, and then what looks like the winch assembly and the back boxes for those service hatches, which is nice, so that when it's assembled it won't be a door on the outside and an empty space from the underside. So that's cool. All right, clear parts. It's a pickup, so there's not going to be too much, but they are nice and sparkly clear, no scratch, no distortion. And we get all these little marker lights, headlights, more marker lights, the hat light. So I'm going to put these right back in their bag so they do not get scratched. And then we have quite a bit of chrome here. I was not expecting this. First up, and this is really nice chrome, which for what I plan to do with the kit is almost a shame, because I want to paint the wheels. But if you want to keep the original chrome wheels and have a more of like a glam truck, you can certainly do that, because these are not only detailed really nicely, but they are chromed nicely as well. So that is nice to see. So that's one chrome sprue. Our second chrome sprue look like backings for lights. Not quite sure what we're looking at here. Oh, that's for the hat light, the base for the hat light. So we have that. And then with a nice protecting tissue paper on top of it, we get into our last chrome sprue. And what do we have here? We have our front grille molded through, bumper, windshield wipers, so little detail, exterior detail parts here, door handles, insignia badges, which they give you a couple of choices. 1, 2, 3. We have look like the roof lights, the roof marker lights, 2 sets of side mirrors, so that's good. So if you're a klutz like me and you break something, you've got extras. Good to see there. So these as well I am going to return to their bag and prevent wear and tear on those. And so there we have it, from quite a collection of parts. You can build this. And there we go. So that's the open kit for the Moebius 1972 Ford F350 4x4 tow truck. Very cool kit. If you don't have one, try to get one. All right, so that's the open kit, and in my next episode I'm gonna build this guy up and see what I can do with it. Alrighty, until then, as always, enjoy your hobby.